George Washington was very stressed. He didn't ask for a whole lot, but he knew that the poor were being eaten in certain sense by the rich. Who are the rich or the well-off right now in this country? It's going to be the people that are connected to Wall Street, and it's going to be ex-military. The people that are coming to my door are connected to the military, the United States military. I mean, they're the military connected to the United States military. That's what the police are. I have family that are police. I have an ex-brother-in-law that's a chief of police who's asked me not to mention his name, and I will not. I'm asking you to not to tread on me, but you're going to anyway, because you have to follow the United States military. You have to follow the United States of America. You have to follow the laws and regulations that they have created. The redcoats are the veterans. If you have any connection with the United States military, you're a redcoat. It's not your fault. You thought you were doing right. My friend Sergeant Foster Harrington lost his life because he thought he was doing right. When you come to my door, you're going to come to a surprise. The surprise is something that you're going to have to deal with. For one thing, as a warning, soon the mansions at Sunset Ridge will no longer be. There's probably 700 people here. They will no longer be a company because of Alicia Wilhout Brooke that happened in 2013. God has put me here for a certain reason. There was a resident that lived here that fell from the 3rd floor to a faulty railing. It says in the Bible that if your place is unsafe, which this place is, because of how it's set up, how the walls are, everything, various noise complaints, all this stuff made it unsafe. Now my life is in danger, and I've been asked to leave, which, the apartment people have asked me to do so, and you can see that I'm packing and getting ready. I've moved a lot in my life. I've lived in Long Beach. I've lived in New York. I've lived all over different places of Texas. If you are connected to the United States military in any way, you are living in what's called a house. I drop food at your door. I've decided to take on the role that George Washington took on against the Redcoats. I respect you as a veteran, but I will not help you. George Washington had to make the decision, am I going to help the Redcoats? Am I going to help the English military? Or am I going to help the poor? Well, what does it say in the Bible? It says the poor shall inherit the earth. It's a command given by God in a way. You're sitting in your house with food at your table with your wife and kids. My wife and kids were taken from me by the United States military. And I was threatened by police officers in Grand Prairie, and the officer that started all this was named M. Patterson, who is no longer a police officer. He stepped up to QT that night and lost his precious career by talking to me. The direct threat saying that if you seek after your family, I will arrest you and put you in jail for what's called criminal mischief, the exact words used by the Redcoats during the 1700s. Families were taken by the Redcoats. If you're in the United States military, you're now driving what's called an F-150. It's a Ford truck that burns a lot of gasoline. You're driving a truck. You can move anywhere you want to. You don't need to because you're sitting in your house. It's got a message. What would you do? Now, George Washington could not peacefully surrender, or he probably would have starved to death. He had to fight to live. There are a lot of people that are joining me, not a whole lot right now, but I do ask the assistance to certain vloggers to follow my channel closely and to listen to certain cues. Message to Biden, just do your job, but know seriously in your heart that people are starving. And you are not, Biden. You are not starving. You are not starving, Biden. Message to Trump, same. You may try to do your job, Donald Trump, but you are not starving. You will not help me because God is not going to allow you to help me. God is the one that's doing this. I am not. I'm only here as a messenger, but I've taken on a role. I can't back down because I've chosen to go forward. I'm not going to stay here any longer in the mansions. I'll move around as much as they allow me to. People will help. People have charity in their heart. Without charity, you are nothing. But because of the living word of God, you, the military, will not inherit any longer. Things are coming to a major change, and the revolution will begin to happen. Remember, Biden, do your job as a president. But remember this, as you do your job, you will not starve. You may try to willingly, but you will not starve. Donald Trump, do your job. Willingly, that's fine, but you will not starve either. I am soon to suffer. This is the cross that I have to bear. You chose along your career not to. I am drawing a line. I have to draw this line. And I have to say one thing to you, that you are in an impossible situation. You are in an impossible situation. When I woke up on 9/11, that day, I thought it was connected to the same thing that Waco was connected to. And in a way, it kind of is. The people that did what they did, John Kerry, which I listened to his speech, I believe he's related to Bob Kerry, said the men that did that day were not cowards. They were not cowards because the men that did that the day of 9/11, those were men that were starving. Their families were probably taken away from them in some way or another. Now, it was wrong what happened. I don't support terror. I don't support that at all. This will be done with paperwork. It'll be done with paperwork. I don't want to. I'm a Christian man, so I'm told to put away swords and weaponry. I follow Christ. I think George Washington may have been something similar, but those were different times. But you have to realize what's being done to me at 48 years old is too much. It's too much for me, but I have to endure it anyway. I have not seen my wife or my kids in 2 years. Now, this can end with your help, but like I said, God's not going to allow you to help me, or you'd already have helped me. Now, I did receive something. It was, and I do thank Biden for the support of $1,400, which came through months ago. I did not receive my tax return of $3,000. We need to immediately, as of tomorrow, restructure child support because of the pandemic and because fathers are going to begin to starve. They're not going to be related to the military. This is another group of people. There's going to be fathers out there that are going to begin to starve, especially fathers going through a divorce and dealing with children and everything like that. I will not be able to see my children until we restructure child support right now because of pandemic and because people are simply trying to survive. We cannot give you the money and you will not allow me to see my children, but yet you get to see your children every day, both of you, Trump and Biden, both of you get to see your children every day. Of course, Trump, I know his family situation is different because of loss, but you still get to see your family, your chosen family every day. No one hides that from you. Your money is hurting other people. It is not being directed to the right people. Things are going to change as of immediately. Okay? So, you make your choice. If you're a veteran, you're sitting in a cozy house watching your football games and snacking on food constantly and having fun with your children and just enjoying life. I see this every day when I walk through a mall area or pick up food, all the wonderful families that are going on. But because the world is not right and perfect, there is injustice. And I'm asking for a little bit of justice and maybe a little bit of help. I am not connected with the military. I was once going to be a Marine. I thought about it, doing it, but I went off on a theatrical path, in art. I went that way rather than military. I chose not to use weaponry. I chose to use film and media, and I chose to use words. All I'm asking is for merciful understanding. I've seen terror, but terror is happening to me because of how money is being handled. I've also, if you know me, I've worked at a bank for many years, so I understand the process and the need that people need to have for money. But this has gone too far over a few noise complaints because I was trying to protect someone that has mental problems because no one else would really completely protect her. I've gone to authority figures for help. I've gone to the police for help. Yet they still press on to me so that they can do their jobs and get paid. I cannot stop what is happening, so I am willingly doing my very best to cooperate. Wilco, okay? I'm willingly complying. But I'm telling you, if you keep on doing this to me, if you keep on over and over again, it's going to happen to thousands upon thousands of others just like me. And the country does not need to starve those types. Please listen and please understand. But I'm afraid because of how I'm seeing things happening, I'm afraid that there could be revolution at hand. Unfortunately, only God is the one that's in control of that. So I'm only sending out a message of hope, I guess, in a way. But it's not fair that military personnel can be sent overseas and do a job that probably is behind possible aggression, come back here and do the same thing to the poor. My message to you is you can have the place. Okay? You can have it. It's yours. But I want you to realize something. This staircase gets tiring walking up and down all the time. Now I go to a poorer place among, I guess, God's people. So enjoy. And one last thing I have to say is, as you do your job, remember that I'll do my best to do mine. So hopefully God will be merciful on both of us. So I just wanted to send out a message because I'm very distraught.